Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We have a returning guest, one of our favorites here at the Opperman Report. Always got something great going on. Always fascinating stuff. And I know that the listeners really enjoy our next guest, Mike Rothmiller, former intelligence detective from LAPD. The new book is called Secrets, Lies, and Deceptions, Part 2, Volume 2, and Other Amazing Pieces of History. Mike Rothmiller, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, it's so great to have you back, man. Remind the audience, who is Mike Rothmiller?
Well, I was in the Army first, but then I spent 10 years at the LAPD. The last 5 years I spent as an undercover detective in the Organized Crime Intelligence Division, and that was primarily looking after mob guys, finding out what they're trying to do, and then also gathering intelligence on politicians, judges, congressmen, senators, so forth. That would be embarrassing, and that could be used against them.
Yeah, people got to go back and find our previous shows. We go into so much detail on so many cases that Mike's worked on personally, but then also, too, he's got this gig going on, you might call it, where he we were just talking about it off the air, where he goes and he files Freedom of Information Act, he goes to the archives all over the place. Just fascinating, this stuff he was just telling me off the air. As a matter of fact, just what you were telling me off the air about Bill Clinton and the transcripts he found on that. So tell us that story real quick.
Yeah, in my first version of this book, I was able to obtain Bill Clinton's telephone transcripts when he was president, and this one in particular, I have him speaking with the Prime Minister of Pakistan regarding bin Laden, and he's telling the Prime Minister that he's got great intelligence, that bin Laden is planning 2 major attacks on the United States. He wouldn't tell the Prime Minister what they were, but he said he wanted the Prime Minister and the intelligence people from Pakistan to try to get the Taliban to take out bin Laden. And the Prime Minister said he wouldn't do it, and he also told him, says, well, you remember when the head of intelligence of Saudi Arabia met with the Taliban over this very issue about planned attacks on the United States, and they just basically refused. So anyway, the point was Clinton knew that the attacks were coming. How much he knew was in question, so I filed some more Freedom of Information Acts and some mandatory declassification reviews regarding all the other documentation regarding that conversation and the people mentioned. Well, that's been roughly 5 years, and they're not giving me anything. And I spoke with a person at the National Archives at the Clinton Library about it, who knew about it, and they said, well, it's up to President Clinton to release those particular documents that you want, and he is not going to do it. And naturally, I said, well, why? And they said, well, because it proves that he had a lot more information regarding the 9/11 attack and probably the attack on the USS Cole than has been made public, and he doesn't want that coming out. So the question is, what is Bill Clinton hiding?
Well, we know he's hiding plenty. We know that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I had Charles Strange on the show, and his son was the first guy that went, the SEAL Team 6 guy, the first guy to go into the building when they captured bin Laden and killed him. And that whole story is steeped in mystery, and how did he die, and the parents were very suspicious about everything, the way the body was treated, just really bizarre stuff. The whole 9/11 story from beginning to end is just shrouded in every kind of mystery and skullduggery that you could imagine. Cover-up galore everywhere.
Yes.
We're never going to get to the bottom of that, you know?
No.
Yeah. So now, this latest book, you dedicated this to President Mr. Trump.
I certainly did.
Okay, and tell us why.
Then the reason being, well, since he's been in, he has been trying his best to enforce laws, whether immigration laws or any other laws, but he's been blocked at every turn, and especially the immigration laws, because I was involved in that way back when I was an intelligence cop with the Mexicans regarding immigration. And at least he's trying, and he's turned the economy around and so forth, but a lot of it has to do with, I was also a newscaster for a while, television reporter, and I watched the news, obviously, and the treatment that he's received, some of it justified, a lot of it not, is just so far over the edge. It's just outrageous. I said, wait a minute, this guy's still the President of the United States. He deserves respect, as does the office. You don't have to like him, but you have to respect the office, and so that's primarily why I did it. Years ago, in the, it was probably about 92, 93, when I wrote my first book about LAPD, I picked up one of the major newspapers in the country that has Times in its title, and I read an in-depth interview with me. That never happened. Never happened. I never spoke to them. I never spoke to the reporter. Yet here they have an in-depth interview with me. And I got a hold of them. Well, my attorney did, and said, what is this nonsense? And I said, well, it was a compilation the reporter took from other interviews. Well, come on. You know, I mean, it was crazy. It was just nuts.
Okay, so now this latest book, Secret Lies and Deception, Part 2, and other amazing pieces of history. Now, you sent me over some notes here. What is, now I'll take a guess. Let's play a guessing game. Okay, the largest mass execution in American history. Wounded Knee?
No.
Okay, what is it?
No.
Okay.
In 1862, up in Minnesota, the Dakota Sioux, there's a hunting party that was out, 5 guys out hunting. They came across some people that were, if you want to say they're settlers, but it was people over a long period of time were just coming onto their land and, you know, staking claim to it, even though in their treaty they owned the land. And so they got into a fight with these people, and this 5-man warring party, they killed several of these settlers. They came back to the tribe. They talked to the chief and told him what happened, and the chief basically said, hey, you know, the United States government, we've had this treaty with them for X number of years. They haven't really come through with anything they've said. They're supposed to give them food and, you know, keep their land to them, keep people off it. They did nothing. So the one chief said, okay, let's just get all these people off our land, go to war. So this Indian War lasted for about 2 weeks, basically. And Lincoln, obviously president, in 1862, the Civil War wasn't going that well for the North. And so the troops went in. The Union troops were up there already, sent some more in. They cut a deal with the chief of the Sioux, said, okay, listen, you bring your warriors in who are out there. They'll be treated fairly, and, well, you know, everything's cool. Just don't go after the settlers anymore. The chief believed them, brought all the warriors in. As soon as they got there, they were placed under arrest by the U.S. Cavalry, and there's roughly 330 of them. And so within the next 2 weeks, they had trials for over 300 people, and all of them were found guilty. All of them were sentenced to death. Some of the trials lasted, in the logs, 5 minutes. That was it for a death penalty trial, right? And so the general sent the list of names to Lincoln, said, here's the 303 people that we want to hang. And Lincoln looked at it, he said, well, wait a minute, this isn't good, because if we hang 300 Sioux Indians at one time in one day, that's going to irritate a lot of people in the country. And it could inflame all the other tribes. And what he didn't need is to basically circumvent the Civil War by cutting off a bunch of troops and sending them to fight an Indian war. So Lincoln said, well, wait a minute, no, let's just hang the guys who raped white women, settlers. So they came back. They had only 2 of them they could find. They said, here's 2 of the 300. Then Lincoln said, oh, wait a minute, no, we've got to hang more than that to make it look good and to set an example. So they gave him a list of 39 people, Indian names, and he looked at it. He says, okay, and I've got his handwritten note in there, all these Indians. He says, yeah, hang them all. And so they set up a scaffolding to accommodate 38 people at one time. And the soldiers were there, blocked them off. So they bring all these warriors out, and the general starts calling them by name, by their Indian names, and he didn't know how to pronounce them. So the guy would say, well, that's me. He'd walk up the scaffolding, take his place under the noose. And was unfortunate is that the guy mispronounced 2 names. And so about a 16-year-old Indian boy, the general calls out, he says, gee, that's me. He walks up there, takes a spot on the scaffolding. Then they call this other name, and it was a white kid that was adopted by the Indians. He says, well, gee, that's what everybody calls me. He walks up there. They hang all 38 at one time, cut the rope down, they fall. Well, they found out that those 2 kids, they were the wrong guys. They were completely innocent. And the guy just mispronounced the name, so they just walked up there. You know, being brave, they walked up and they were hung. So they take the bodies, they basically cover them with sand down at the riverbed. after the execution, and then the following day they go back there, and the bodies are virtually all gone. And what happened, there were some physicians and some people that were selling bodies went down there, grabbed the cadaver to sell as cadavers, took the bodies and took them back. But that was the largest mass execution in U.S. history. Lincoln did it. He ordered it, and unfortunately, they hung 2 innocent people.
Now, when you include this in the book, do you like tell the story like you just told it to me now, or there are documents in there? How does that happen?
Well, I tell the story, and the documents are there. There's some photographs in there, too, but then there's a day-by-day timeline of the Indian War, and then a letter from for a better term, the assistant chief to the chief saying how they were screwed because the chief believed the general. And that's it. Then I have Lincoln's handwritten notes and his execution orders, which are handwritten. So it's all there.
Fascinating. Now you have CIA's psychiatric profile of Fidel Castro. Now, again, you have a transcript of the profile?
Yeah, I have the actual document.
Oh, my God. Okay, so
they did it in, basically back in about 50, actually it was 61. And it's very short. Their entire study, personality study, was only 1 page long. And they get into it and say that, he's not crazy, but he's neurotic and so forth, and he's an unstability, but he will do whatever's needed to keep his position.
Yeah, maybe with all these assassination attempts, he was a little, edgy.
Yeah, he was a little nervous after that.
Yeah. Okay, and so you got that. It's fascinating. Secret weapons. What do you have on secret weapons?
Oh, geez, I've got a lot of stuff in there. Basically, back in the mid-'90s, I was briefed by the CIA and given some documents regarding secret weapons that were, they were just being used then. Some were in development, but since then they've basically made huge advances. And one is laser weapons and various types. There's a small one that they mount on an M16, but what it will do is destroy an enemy's electronic targeting device. It will fry it. There's another one called the Dazzler, which is basically it's powered by batteries. It looks like kind of like a 308 rifle in a sense, but it's designed to also knock out electronics, and then it can do a lot of damage to the human body if they aim it at them and hit them. And that was used in the Gulf War. Some of my sources have told me. They have low-energy weapons that oscillate between the colors and that the human eye can detect. And the idea and what they do is they will basically temporarily or permanently blind a person looking at them. And so if you have, just say a sniper, and you see somebody looking your direction, they can use this. It's like a rifle, and they fire it at them. Unless they have some very, very sophisticated optics to protect their eyes, they're going to basically go temporary blind to permanently blind. And then you have,
wait, but isn't there something in the Geneva Convention you're not allowed to blind the enemy?
Oh, I don't know. There may be, but okay. You still have the weapons, right?
Okay.
And then there's ones. I have some images in here of a laser equipped on a Stryker vehicle, ship-mounted naval vessels with lasers, and then the Yaw-1 airborne laser, which is on a 747 jet, to go and knock out satellites and planes and missiles, things like that. Some of the things that are very interesting and different is the isotropic radiators. And what that is, think of the 4th of July. A firework is shot into the sky. When it goes off, you see colors. But imagine if it was so bright when it went off, it would immediately fry your eyes. I mean, not physically, but your vision would be totally destroyed. Totally. And I talk about that in there, what they are and what they do. And then you have the non-nuclear electromagnetic pulse devices. high-powered microwaves, which is kind of interesting because recently I heard on the news that they're looking at, remember down in Cuba at the embassy, they just opened that some people were suffering from various illnesses, and they couldn't figure out what's going on. They're dizzy and so forth. And now they're coming out and said they believe it was a high-powered microwave aimed at the embassy. And so I talk about that. I talk about infrasound, which is basically low hertz sound waves that can penetrate a building, and you can turn them up like the volume on a TV, and the higher it is, the more damage it will do to the person inside. Generally, it will make them nauseous and sick and just lay them down on the ground because it's just so horrible. They just don't know what's going on. Kind of the real interesting ones is one's called LME, which is liquid metal embrittlement. And what it does, think of this. You have a can of spray, just like a regular little spray can of paint or hairspray. You can spray it on a piece of metal, aluminum, titanium, whatever it is, and it changes the structure of the molecules. And what it does, it makes it extremely brittle. And what this is used for, say special ops, they go in to, just say, an airport, and they have fighter planes, transport planes. They would spray it on the landing gear of an aircraft. And you can't see it and you can't smell it, but in a short period of time, it restructures the molecules, and they becomes very brittle like glass. So once you put pressure on that, say, front landing gear, it will just snap off and collapse. So one, it will destroy it, but two, it's for psychological purposes, is that if you have a squadron of people ready to take off, fighters, the first guy down the chute, he starts down the runway, and the wheels collapse and break off. Everybody else is going to go, uh-oh, has my plane been sprayed with it? So that's some interesting stuff. They have another thing, super caustics, which they're called C+, and they're 1,000 times more corrosive than hydrofluoric acid. And what this stuff does, if they put it on the ground and you're walking across it, it will dissolve the soles of your shoes in about 30 seconds. And so same thing, a car drives over it, it dissolves the tire almost instantly. If it gets on human skin, you can imagine what it's going to do. They have anti-traction technology, which is super lubricants, and it's slipperier than ice. And so even if you had, say, a track vehicle going across on the road and it's been treated with this, it won't get any traction. It just will slide right off. They have polymer agents, which are the super of all super glues that it can basically be fired through an artillery shell or a rocket. And if an air-breathing engine, say on a truck or an airplane, ingests this, it sucks it in, it just freezes in there. It just stops the motor from functioning. And they have combustion material, same thing. They can spray it in where it changes the fuel to a gel almost instantly, like in a jet or a truck or something. They have combinative agents, which I talk about, which they use with DMSO, and it promotes quick absorption into the body, and it can either be laced with a poison, which would kill somebody right away, or a combinative agent, which would basically, if you want to say, pretty much put them to sleep, or you can put them to sleep. What I thought was really cool is I was given some information on a demonstration that visual stimulus and illusion devices, and they call it the Buka effect, and what it employs is high-intensity strobes, some of it that is at the same frequency as the human brain, and you see this light, and it makes you nauseous and gives you vertigo. And it's the same effect that some helicopter pilots experience from the rotor blades. If the sun is just right above them, flashing through, they can go into vertigo from it. But they have those. I have a little folding machine gun they have. I talked about the new drones that are out that basically they act in a swarm. They'll launch 100 of them from, say, an F-18, and they will hunt down whatever the object is. These drones are that smart, and they talk to each other. They just fly around, and they'll follow a road, and they go, oh, no, that's a good truck. Oh, wait, if there's the truck we're supposed to kill, or the individual, then they'll just go down there and hit them with explosives. And so that's what I have in the secret weapons, a bunch of stuff like that.
Now, are any of these weapons you describe in use, like in Afghanistan today? Do we know?
They're in use. They've been deployed because this stuff, like I said, I got this in the mid-'90s, and I've held it until I absolutely confirmed that the information is already out there and that these items have basically advanced a great deal since then. Now, I've talked to some people that going back when the Russians were in Afghanistan, they were using lasers. And I know some people from the intelligence community that went in there and they brought some of the stuff back, armaments and so forth, that were hit with this laser, and it just basically melted the steel in the armor that was on various vehicles. So you'd have to assume that some of it's being used. I would imagine some of the non-lethal items are probably being used in Afghanistan. Excuse me.
Okay, it's just fascinating. Like, it seems like the greatest minds we have, the greatest scientific minds can do this kind of research and develop these kind of products. Like, wouldn't it be great if they were working on? There must be so many civilian applications for these kind of things too that they could be using. Oh, yeah. But the focus is just on. And it's not even like we're using it and winning over there. The war's going on 20 years, and it's just fascinating. Anyway, let's take a little commercial break here. We're with, I guess, Mike Rothmiller, retired detective, LAPD detective. Secret Lies and Deceptions, number 2, and other amazing pieces of history. Fascinating stuff. And check out our previous interviews, too. Covered a great body of work here with Mike Rothmiller. I'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an aquadam can do the job. An aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here with Mike Rothmiller, former LAPD detective. Secrets, Lies, and Deceptions, and other amazing pieces of history. And be sure to check out our previous interviews as well. A lot of great content in there. I know people always go back and they pick up those books. Now, what about, let's skip ahead here a little bit. Hillary Clinton email regarding child slavery in Haiti. Is this from the WikiLeaks dump, or is this different?
No, I got this myself. Yeah, I have a section in there regarding slavery in the 19th and 20th century, and get into there's a gentleman that at the turn of the century, about 1900, the king of Belgium sent him into the Belgium Congo to look at setting up trading posts and everything, because that was one of their territories. And so he went in, and I have his first-hand account. It's about 20 pages long I put in there that he wrote back then. And he talks about the slavery that was going on within the Congo between the tribes. And this is obviously after it was outlawed in this country, eliminated. And he talks about how not only were these tribes using them as slaves to barter, but they were using them as meat. And that's what he's talking about. And he said they would raid another village, they would take some slaves back, and if they'd work them, that's fine. If they could sell them to somebody else, they'd do that. But if not, they would just keep them tied up, and they would fatten them like livestock. And once they're fattening them up, they would slaughter them and eat them. And he talks about this. So since I had this section in there about slavery, I also put in an email I got regarding child slavery that is still going on in Haiti. And what I have is Hillary Clinton does a long email regarding that when she was Secretary of State that she received. And for a better term, she got the email. Her and Bill were down there, after the earthquake and all that stuff. And for a better term, absolutely nothing was done or has been done regarding childhood slavery there. And what is going on is that the people, they would take their kids, and if they couldn't afford them anymore, or once they're born, they would sell them to somebody else on the island. And they would take those kids and keep them for as long as they could until they no longer serve their purpose. And that could be 3 years, 5 years, until they're, teenagers or whatever. And once they no longer serve the purpose, on the street in Haiti, or they would kill them in some instances. But It's rather a long email that she received from Cheryl Mills, which was her top aide, and it was regarding her going down to Haiti and so forth. And they were called arrest-evecs. That's the term they use for these kids that are sold into slavery in Haiti. So the question is, the UN knew about this, USAID, World Bank, everybody else, they all knew about it, and they did nothing about it, and people virtually have heard nothing about it.
Yeah, the Clintons' activity down in Haiti is probably the most despicable thing you could imagine. Just stealing money from earthquake victims. Which it's so blatant and clearly documented. I had Alice Backer on the show here as an attorney down in Haiti who just laid out the whole case for us. We had Charles Ortel on the show who laid out the Clinton Foundation and their activities. Just unbelievable. And there was other stuff, too. All that stuff. Did you look into that stuff about the Clintons' friend down there that was trying to leave with the 30 Haitian children who claiming they were orphans and they had families? Did you look into that as well?
No, I didn't look at that, but there are so many stories that are factual that have come out since. It's just amazing.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a look at this and see what's going on with this new email you found here. Oh, boy. What now? September 11th, the 2012 attack on U.S. Benghazi office. What did you find on that?
Well, basically what I did is I did not want people to forget what happened. Because we lost 4 people there, and I wanted to put it into the proper context that Hillary, Joe Biden, Obama, and Susan Rice, all of them lied to the families, and all of them lied to the country, stating that for at least 2 weeks afterwards that, it was a video, it was this horrible video. It was a video that nobody ever saw until they mentioned it. And so I have their internal emails talking about it, how we've got to basically keep the charade up until after the election, that it was this video. It wasn't our incompetence that caused this. And it was their incompetence because talk about there how they were warned by Stevens, the ambassador who was killed. He said, hey, we need more security here. This place is really falling apart. Al-Qaeda is flying their flags on government buildings now. And it's just really dangerous. The Brits pulled out, and I talk about the Brits months prior to this. They had a lot of oil workers in the oil fields of Libya. They got a clandestine mission together, and they flew in some C-130s under the cover of darkness to evacuate their people because it was so dangerous. And that was a top-secret mission the Brits ran. The Brits also sent in a ship into the port of Benghazi with military cover to evacuate all the Brits that were there. And they did that well before this. And this is even after the U.S. Embassy, the consulate, one was attacked. The British ambassador survived an assassination attempt before this. All the handwriting was on the wall. And so you come up to the 9/11 anniversary, you've overthrown the government there for something else I have in here, why they did it, and you expect nothing to happen. Well, they wanted to play it down because the election in November was the following, coming up. And that's why the charade went on.
Yeah, I had Liddy Denier on the show, the ex-fiancée of Ambassador Stevens, and also the mother, I forget her name right now, I think it was Patterson, of one of the SEALs that was working there, or the security guys. Now, you came up with stuff here about how, and I'm familiar with this too, that the Clintons had emails back and forth where they were talking about the hoard of gold and silver that Gaddafi had, and I think they openly said, "Hey, this is a resource that we could get." Now, where'd it go? Who has it now?
Well,
where'd you find out on it?
What I did is I was able to obtain an email. Sid Blumenthal, which people don't know who he is, he's been Hillary's confidant for 25 or 30 years. He was the guy that she wanted to give job at the State Department, and Obama said no, he couldn't do it. So they hired him at the foundation instead. They're paying him there. So anyway, his emails, out of all the emails that Hillary received, he probably accounted for about a third of them. A lot of his emails regarding overseas stuff she passed on to the rest of the people at the State Department, said, here, read this or take action on this. So I have an email that he sent to Hillary. And that's what it says. This is for Hillary from Sid. And they talk about France's client and Gaddafi's gold. And in this, he's talking about some high-ranking people in Libya that he's spoken to and some French people and so forth. But that Gaddafi had 140 tons of gold, basically 140 tons of silver, and from other sources I found, he also had a couple, $2 to $3 billion in U.S. currency. He had them stashed at this bank. And so Hillary meets with the French president, Sarkozy. Sarkozy's going, oh, boy, he's going to slaughter all these people in Benghazi, right, because they had an uprising going. He was going to send in troops to take on the rebels. And so he says, we got to do something, right? But then it comes out further in the email that the French president was really worried what Gaddafi was going to do is use that gold to start a new currency in North Africa, and it would be backed up by gold, and that would undercut the French currency there. So Sarkozy didn't like that, but more importantly, Sarkozy wanted Libyan oil. And so it says that he has a chat with Hillary in person. Hillary comes out of the meeting, calls Rice and Samantha Powers, and says, hey, listen, we got to back them up going to war against Libya, overthrowing Gaddafi. And within a day or so, they go in and steamroll Obama. They go and say, hey, we got to do this because, you know, it's for the betterment of everybody. And Obama caves. He says, okay, we'll lead from behind, and they joined in. And so he has this, and we go to war, and, you know, Gaddafi ends up getting murdered and so forth. But what's interesting is I tried to find out what happened to all this gold and silver. And the story that I'm given is this, and you'll appreciate this. They said, well, yeah, he had all of this, and when he realized there's some rebels going on, some forces, he had all of his gold and silver and cash put on trucks. Now, how many trucks is it going to take for 140 tons of gold, right?
Yeah, 100, yeah.
And a company mountain of silver. Then they drove it into the desert. Gaddafi's trusted aide and these guys, they drive into the desert, and they bury it all in the sand. All of this gold and silver and currencies buried in the sand in the desert. On their way back, they're ambushed by the rebels, and the rebels kill all of them. So the secret location of this stash is gone forever, right? I don't buy it. And the French intelligence, CIA intelligence, everybody else, they would have known where this gold was at in the get-go, and they would have made sure it didn't vanish like that, or they certainly would have had it under some sort of surveillance from satellite or some other predator or who knows what. But all of a sudden, all of this stuff is gone. And then all of a sudden, Hillary deletes all of her personal emails, and a whole slew of them from Sid and these other issues. So the question is, well, wait a minute. Did some of those emails contain more information about the gold and silver and cash? Who was getting it? Where it was going? How it was being divided? Did some of it end up in the Clinton Foundation? Many, many unanswered questions regarding it. And what really puzzles me is that in about 2000, I was working for one of the largest corporations in the world. I headed government affairs. I had a private meeting with Clinton at a house, Bill Clinton, he's still president, in Texas. And in the room, there were probably 6, 7 of us standing there and waiting for him to come. And I knew what I was there to talk to him about. And this other guy that I knew was a very good, longtime friend of Clinton. And he and I were chatting, and he says, Mike, I want to introduce you to somebody. So he introduces me to this guy who's a major oil man in Texas. And he says, this guy tells us, hey, tell Mike what you're doing for the president. So he says, oh, well, for the last 2 years, I have been the middleman between Bill Clinton and Muammar Gaddafi. And he says, I've arranged a deal that when Al Gore becomes president because they thought he was going to win the election, not Bush. So when Al Gore becomes president, we are normalizing our relationship with Libya, and Libya is going to, under contract, basically give us all their oil, sell all their oil to us. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. And then here Clinton arrives, and obviously he and this oil man are very good friends, know each other for a long time, and we're just all kind of chatting. And, so I always wondered, why was Hillary especially pushing the war with Libya? When this deal was cut, she had to know about it. And the only thing that makes sense is the gold and the silver, because they have proven through time they are like a bloodhound when it comes to smelling money. And they will pick up that scent and follow it back to its source. So there are a lot of questions they need to answer.
It's interesting, too. Hillary's brother owns a mining company in Haiti for gold.
Yeah, isn't that strange?
Yeah, right. Would be a great way to launder that gold,
It sure would be.
You just send it.
I mean, gold, you melt it down.
You don't even have to melt it. You send it in. You send an empty ship from Haiti to wherever wherever they got the gold stashed. Yeah. You need boxes, so you don't even need to melt anything. Oh, boy. No, you say you got this official story of what happened to Gaddafi's money. Where'd you get that official story from?
Digging the story itself about where it was buried in the desert.
Yeah, that story. Yeah.
I got that from some sources, some intelligence sources.
Okay. All right, let's take a commercial break. This is we're in the wrong business, Mike. You and me we gotta find us a country and invade it, and some earthquake victims and bleed them dry. All right, we'll be right back after this with more of Mike Rothmiller. Kind of depressing stuff, I tell you, when you hear this, there's not one happy story in this whole bunch here, Mike, Secrets, lies, you got to do a comedy book next time, Secret Lives and Deception, and other amazing pieces of history. Check it out, it's available on Amazon, we'll have it in the Opera Report bookstore. We were talking about the Hillary, God, let's get off that, had enough of that one, man, that voice, I saw her in person one time at a rally. I was covering the rally, and that screeching voice, my God, I couldn't take it. The other side of Wyatt Earp and Tombstone, what do you have from that?
Well, I have his arrest warrant for being a horse thief, which most people are unaware of, that he and another fellow stole some horses, and they were under prosecution in the Indian Territory, and what he did, he got out of Dodge real fast and went further west, and nobody could find him. So the warrant was just remained open for being a horse thief. And then what I have is the territorial governor at the time wrote a letter to the U.S. Marshal for the territories about Tombstone and the Earp brothers, and it's a 7-page letter, and he has great handwriting, so it's the actual letter to read it. And he's talking about the outlaws, the desperados, the Earp brothers causing trouble down there and getting in a shootout with a bunch of people, and it's very interesting. So it is a completely different side of Wyatt Earp that people really haven't seen. You've seen movies and read books, but that he was a horse thief, and then also this letter from the governor at the time asking the U.S. Marshal to get down there and basically bring law and order to the place, because he's saying, well, cowboys, most people don't realize that cowboys, the term, was for outlaws back then. And the cowboys were the guys out robbing stagecoaches, stealing cattle, and so forth. So it was a derogatory term back when Earp was around to be called a cowboy. And so this governor's talking about that. It's very, very interesting when you read the letter, because it takes you right to the heart of the issue in that moment in time, what was going on.
Yeah, the wild, wild west,
Yes. Yes.
And like the Pinkertons, now we think of the Pinkertons as this, security guard company, and PI agency. Mm-hmm. And back then they were like basically mercenaries and hitmen,
Yeah, you'd hire somebody, say, go get them,
Yeah. Well, U.S. Diversity Immigration Visa Program, the Visa Lottery.
Oh, yeah. The Visa Lottery. What a scam. That's being talked about now, and I started digging into that years ago, but it finally took until about a year ago before the State Department got back to me on a FOIA. And what the diversity lottery program was back in about 1990, Ted Kennedy pushed it, Chuck Schumer pushed it. The first President Bush signed it into law. And what they did is they listed all the countries in the world, and they said, to really better the United States, we need to bring people in from everywhere to diversify our culture. So they set it up, and they'd said, like, okay, now here's these countries, and I have some of the countries listed, and they said, we can't have anybody coming in from England under this program because we have enough Englishmen. So most of them were third world countries. And what they did, they set up a lottery system, and they said, if you, let's say some guy in Sudan, if you want to go to the United States, all you got to do is fill out this form, and if you can't fill it out, we'll fill it out for you. So they'd go to the consulate office or U.S. Embassy. They fill it out, and their only requirements are that you have to be an adult or 18 or over. You have to have a high school diploma or equivalency from that country. Now, when you start looking at a place like Sudan, Somalia, I don't know how, you can put a lot of weight into a high school diploma if they even have a high school, or the equivalency, or you can do it by work and have like 2 years experience in various fields. Well, I looked that up, and they have 880 fields of expertise, supposedly, that you can apply for this. One is some being like doctors, nurses, radiologists. Hey, that's all great. But then they have like sheep herders, and they have muckers for barns, and they have tree fallers, and they say, this is right, I have it in there from the State Department's website, it says a tree faller, cut limbs off a tree, clean up, raking and so forth, and when you're cutting a tree down when it's falling, run out of the way so it doesn't fall on you. Now, let's face it, and then baristas. Oh, if you're a barista too, if you can make a cup of coffee. So the question is, these are the people that qualify for it. And so once their name is drawn, the State Department through this program pays. They'll send a charter plane in or commercial flight. They get into the airport. They say, you can come in. All your expenses are paid. You're going to go on basically Social Security when you get here and welfare. You're going to have health insurance. You're going to get a food stipend and all this stuff. And then if you want to maybe learn a job down the line, you get free training for that. But you're always on the dole. Well, not only do they come in, all of their relatives come in with them. And so I filed a FOIA with the State Department asking a few basic questions. One, how many people come in under this program each year since it started? How much does it cost? Right? Seems pretty simple. Information they should have. Well, they stalled me for 5 years, and I finally received my FOIA reply, and they said, one, we don't know how many people come in per year, and we have no idea what it costs because we don't keep those records. Now, under the program, 50,000 people come in a year. So if you just take that into consideration, now they're bringing their relatives in. Let's say there's a total of 4. All of a sudden, you're up to 200,000 people that go on the dole, and they put them on SSI immediately, Social Security, and we fund everything for them. And this has been going on since the 90s. And the amount is well into the billions and billions of dollars each year. So the program, even Charles Schumer a few years back said it was a scam. The audits that have been done by the Senate and Congress said this is the biggest scam going, and yet the system is still there. And you can go up on their State Department website, the Diversity Immigration Lottery Program, and you read it and you scratch your head and you go, this is probably the stupidest government program ever enacted. It just makes no sense whatsoever. So I have that. And,
okay, Mike, we're out of time. What do you want to leave us with?
Well, I'll leave you with that. If you want to really know what can be backed up, substantiated, what goes on in the government and so forth, excuse me, both the volumes of books lays tons of it out with the documents. If you don't want to know, just don't pay attention to it. Just bury your head in the sand, look the other way.
I think we timed this perfectly. I think your voice is just your voice is giving out just here at the perfect amount of time. Mike Rothmiller, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good night, brother. Good night. Okay, then we had Mike Rothmiller, a former LAPD Detective Intelligence Bureau. And now a word from our sponsors. EmailRevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey, Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. EmailRevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. EmailRevealer.com. 800-572-9762. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send you a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com. or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flight Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.